and welcome to this live. Originally, we had planned to do it a little later in the day, but this is even better. The sun is shining in, and I'm so glad that I get to have this conversation with Willemijn. And it looks like you're about to join. If you want to just request, there we go. I'm going to send a request. Accept it, Willemijn, and then we can have a nice chat. So it is currently, hi, how are
Hey, how are
you?
you?
So good to see you.
Very good to see you. Yeah, so we had this time zone confusion, lost in translation kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and it's so funny because I was like, 8 p.m. Okay. And I think it was because you said, yeah, this is what I'd like to do. And then I was kind of like, okay, I never bothered looking at it. But then I'm like, let me check my clock. Even before you messaged me, I thought, wait a second. No, they're ahead. What time is it? So
Yeah.
that's great. We have the world clock. Yeah. And I mean, I've been there, so I should know, but it's just so good we get to do this now. And I'm really grateful that I had the chance. I was just out and about listening to the podcast where we had a wonderful conversation about your story and about all of the ways you tangibly shared that people can be aware and mindful of if they are facing burnout themselves. And your story is so encouraging because you came through a lot, and yet that's the key. You came through it. And hopefully we can share that hope with people as they're coming through many different things after the last year. It's been quite a year for many people.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how was your day today?
Oh, it was actually quite good. I had a couple of conversations, which is quite different for me. Normally, I'm like this loner working behind my computer, helping my clients. But I had a day with lots of calls, so I feel super like lit up by that. So it's great. And I just picked up my kids, so I had to drive through the snow, which was a challenge because it never snows here. And this week it's like a lot, a lot of snow and super cold. So I know, you're in Canada, so you know all about snow, but we like rarely get it. So it's really a complete mess here.
Oh, right, because you just think the roads are icy. It's not like you've got salt trucks just at the ready to be able to do their thing. It's yeah, the world can shut down a bit. So I'm glad you're back safe.
Yeah,
And
yes.
we've had quite a bit of snow and then no snow, and now it's cooler and now the sun is out. So it's kind of that
Oh, nice.
the whole kind of it's really cool when it's sunny where I am, but it is nice to have that sun because either
Yeah.
way, it's not like I'd be hanging out outside for an extremely long a period of time. Walks and things get a little bit nippy, but we still get that fresh air. And if you stand in a certain spot just where there's no wind and you're in the sun, it's like you close your eyes and it could almost feel like spring, maybe a Canadian spring,
Maybe. Yeah.
a Canadian spring. We've had some cold summers, where I've been on the beach like in layers, right? So it's who knows? It's anyone's guess what the weather will be like, but it's been pretty good so far.
Great.
So, but yes, getting out in nature, that's something that has always been very grounding for you, especially in the years since you switched careers.
Yes,
Um,
very much.
Now,
Yeah.
here you are in the Amsterdam region in the Netherlands, where it's very people are known, like you say, to be riding their bikes everywhere, to be out in nature. Is this something that you did a lot of while you were working in the medical field, or were you just so busy with your career that you didn't have time for it?
Oh, that's actually a great question. So I realized today, so I don't believe in like coincidence, but this was literally today. I realized that before, when I was still in my medical career, I didn't have any hobbies. It was, I liked to do things, but there was just no time. So I
Mm.
was always sort of crashing my, the fun things or the hobby kind of activities. I was crushing them in between like work, and they were things on my to-do list. And that's so different now. I have so many hobbies and I have time for them. And it feels so much more like I'm living like a fun life that I am constantly creating myself. And if I want to try something new, or I want to learn something new, then I can make time for it. And yeah, and it just struck me today that that is actually very new, which something that happened over the past couple of years after I quit my job in the medical field, and it's something that I've never known before. So it's,
Mhm.
yeah, it's quite different.
Yes, I imagine so, because I think people in Western culture, in other places other than the region where you're living, would think, I mean, certainly when I think of Europe, anywhere in Europe, I do think there is more quality of life. There is the ability to slow down. People are in touch with each other, and food and eating, and it's all an experience. And yet, Westernized culture has really changed that, and everyone's working all the time, and there may be pockets of people who still keep those practices, but it's very easy to slip into a feast or
Hmm.
famine mindset when it comes to work. So I'm really happy for you that you've been able to cultivate these new hobbies, and how wonderful that you are modeling that for your girls, because they're at that age where, I mean, really, they have been for a while now, really watching, well, how are you doing things, how are you living, and it's going to leave an imprint on them as to how they move forward as well. So that's
Yeah.
wonderful. What would you say? I know gardening is one of the hobbies. What are some of your other ones?
Ooh, I have some fun things. I love to knit socks. So I have like a million socks in my drawer that I never wear. And I give them away, as gifts. And, people are fed up with my socks now. So I recently switched to dolls' clothes because I love like these. So my kids are in Waldorf school, and
Mm,
they have all these toys that are made of natural materials like wool and felt. And
mhm.
they have these specific dolls that are really like soft flannel dolls. And they have like these cute little clothes. So I'm now into like knitting those dresses and little cardigans for the dolls. So because, I can I can give them away because socks, everyone has my socks already.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, and they're wool, they're natural. Like I have to go to Costco of all places to find wool socks. And I go through all the ones that I buy in the fall, they have holes in them, and they're just really, for myself anyway, irreparable by the end of winter. So every year I need new socks, and there's nothing like a wool sock, because like those, the polyestery kind that stick to your feet, and they're just not warm. It's just no
Yeah.
fun. I mean, sometimes, like if it gets really cold, because I like to sleep with cooler temperatures, I will wear wool socks to bed. And my husband laughs at me because he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, I can't sleep with cold feet. And
No.
that's the key for me. Like being cozy, having warm feet, you will sleep. The rest of you get just warms up. So that's great that you're doing that. You're helping
Yeah.
humanity with their cold toes. um, yeah, and as you shared your story, and I just want to remind everyone that the Connect podcast episode with Willemijn dropped today, and I'm going to leave information in the comments here of how to access it anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's the most recent one, and sharing your story about moving from medicine into the field of online business management, which is a really burgeoning field. And I know a lot of people right now are changing things. They
Yeah.
are pivoting and shifting the way that they live their life and do their business. And conversations with people about folks moving out of the city into the suburbs because they can work from home and they can have more space. It's going to be so fascinating to see how it all rolls out in like commercial real estate and all of that. And so you had a really wonderful foray into online business management before all of the world changed. How are
Yeah.
you finding, what are your conversations like right now with people who are looking to pivot their businesses? Is there a lot of stress and anxiety, or do they feel like a confidence and a hope?
I think that, the entrepreneurs I usually talk to are already, they already have an online business, or they started in the last year, they pivoted to online, or they brought their offline brick and mortar businesses online. Um, or they created their first online courses or memberships, and that has helped them a lot to keep their businesses afloat, or even like grow them massively, because in the online space you can reach so much more people. So I would say the people I talk to, they're not really like stressed out anymore, but that was obviously different a year ago, when everything like changed overnight, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, so of course people had to pivot, and they needed to change, direction here and there. But mostly I think those who have, sort of stepped on the train of online business, they are doing quite well. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that what what I've read, and especially in the United States, I think this is quite common, is because of COVID and the prolonged lockdowns, and the toll it's taking on moms, especially as they're homeschooling. And I've been doing that a couple of weeks, like the past 8 weeks, I've been homeschooling too, and they're like this week they're back in school, so I'm really happy. Woohoo! So yeah, but this has really taken a toll on working moms, and so many women decided to quit their jobs in corporate because it was not something they could combine for so long, to work and be at home and homeschool their kids. It's just impossible to combine all these things and still and still function like normally. It's such a burden. And what I've seen is that there are many women with great skills and a fantastic career, and they can help a lot of people. They're starting businesses now because they can work from home and doing that. So that's really great. And that is something that the online space also provides to us. It's a space where we can, we can serve other people with our skills and our talents. And you might have had a career of 20 or 30 years in some corporate field that you can now bring online and help others with, which I think is fascinating. And it's the way forward. It's the future. So yeah, I'm quite excited.
Oh yeah, I really agree with that. And I think even people, like you say, who are in the online space already, there was that moment of like, oh my goodness, how is this going to impact us? Because the whole world is being affected, and economically things are being affected, and all of these things. And my start in the field of business at all, and wellness especially, was in the network marketing field. Like back in 1994, actually, you know what? If I really go back, when I was 18, I had just traveled to Europe, and I had lived in the Czech Republic teaching English as a second language. And then I did the whole tour of Western Europe, including Amsterdam, which I loved. And Giethoorn was one of my favorite little places. It was so
Oh
sweet,
yeah,
like
it's
all the little
beautiful.
canals, like just stunning. And when I came back, my father had enrolled me into a water filtration network marketing company. And I was going to come back, and potentially I had gotten into university, Western University, Ottawa University, and Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, for music. I thought I was going to do that because singing and performance, that was my thing. And after traveling to Europe, of course, everything changed. And I'm like, no, I want to do other things. But I had no idea where to begin. So I came back, and there I was, 18 years old. And here's your business. I'm like, how do I do this? So the next few years was really a learning opportunity. And through that, I met people who then began a personal development network marketing company. And I went corporate with them. And that's where I really cut my teeth on everything, in self-development, to startups, to bootstrapping, to scaling. And then in 1994, my husband and I were looking for, we met, actually, that's where I met my husband, was in that company. And that's when we were looking for a business that we could work from home and travel. And we knew the model of network marketing just seemed really good. And so that's when I started. We were looking for a business model, and we thought, oh, yeah, wellness supplementation, all this. Like back in 94, it was like, why do you need to supplement, right? Just eat well. And so now it's so different. It's not should you or shouldn't you, it's like which ones and what quality. So that started my journey that then turned into online business. And during that process of looking for a business, I fell in love with the wellness world and self-care. And so I just really wanted to deeply connect to women. And so it's so amazing how we can go out with an idea of how we're going to live our life, but then the world presents other opportunities. And one thing I will say about that field, and that I think it's translated into many different online businesses as well, is during times of recession or uncertainty in the marketplace, that is when businesses like that thrive, because people want a sense of ownership. And, again, over the years, we've just seen things grow and grow. And so it allows us to branch out and do other things. And I'm super grateful. And so when I think of the women that you're helping to reimagine, re-envision what they want to do with their careers, the sky is the limit, because they have all that wisdom from their corporate experience that, like you say, exactly like what you've used your experience to then go on and help other people start their businesses. It's so beautiful. And I know you had shared with me, you had delved into a little bit of wellness, the wellness world yourself. You got certified as a yoga teacher,
Yes. Yeah.
and obviously health and wellness. I mean, I really feel like when I think of Nordic countries and we think of Amsterdam, I think like it kind of goes hand in hand. It's just more earthy and grounded for the most part. And so how do you find that ideology of what you've come through informs on how you do your business now, and how you guide other women as they're building their businesses to keep their health in a priority?
Yeah, I think that for me, the most important thing is that, so I've obviously I have the medical career, and I've worked in psychiatry for a number of years. So that is something that I just, bring to the table. I sort of read people quite easily. I'm not like looking through you as a psychiatrist. People are always afraid of that. But I'm just, experienced at just observing someone in a different way and reading them in a different way. So that's just training that I take with me. And I've done a yoga teacher training, a yoga therapy training, and a vitality coaching certification. So I'm always aware of how energy management is important for our well-being, and that is super important for the work that we do. So we cannot do our best work when we're exhausted or depleted or burned out. So that is not an option. So it always comes first. So that is something that I have learned for myself to be aware of, and to really consciously practice for myself. Mm-hmm. But it's also something that I'm looking for in my clients. So for example, when my client is launching and things are like really stressful, I always look for signs of stress that we need to take care of. So for example, when they start speaking really fast, or when I can just see that their mind is not, it's just it's the way they look sometimes, the way they look at me, like they're not there anymore. Mm-hmm. It's a kind of being disconnected. And I know that feeling of like how your brain can just not work anymore. It's like you're trying to think and it's not doing the thinking. And when they're in that place, then I always help them to take a break, to make sure they really do that. And then I can just tell them, I'm going to take over here from you today so that you can rest, and we're going to take over as a team. And then tomorrow you'll be back. And I think that's different in the way that I work with my clients, and other online business managers work with their clients. So I think that's my experience that I bring to the table, to make sure that they're not, running on empty and going over the edge, and then end up burnt out. And, you can have a wonderful launch and make a lot of money and serve a lot of clients. But when you're burnt out and you cannot deliver on everything, that's not what you want either. So I think it's really important to bring that to the table, and also, plan for breaks, plan for rest. We always plan a launch, and I always tell them, after the launch, you plan a week of recovery time, because you need that. It's not okay if you launch and then, on Monday just start delivering your program. You need that downtime, and I'm just making sure they're going to plan for that as well.
That is so incredibly powerful, and it's so the opposite of how I came up in the business world. It's like constantly launch, get right back at it. You're out till, like at the time doing meetings and things, out till 10, 11 at night, but you're right back at the office to open it up at 7 a.m. And it's like, what? There's no time for the creativity to come through, and also for the enjoyment of being able to really celebrate the success, and also, like you say, nurture the people coming through the program or whatever offering you've just launched.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And people will, I think too, there's this feeling that people can have if they don't allow that rest, of kind of a despondency. And those are kind of probably the early warning signs for burnout.
Yes.
I would imagine. And, you know, when you mentioned, you know, the way you could see people are looking at you, but they're not really there. I remember feeling like that as a new mom. And I feel like
Yeah.
I had a really good experience, but now looking back, I see there may have been some postpartum anxiety for silly, like in now that I think about it, silly things. But at the time they felt very serious about things I wanted to do in the home that were important and reading all of the parenting books and making sure I had everything, you know, because I love to learn and I love to follow structure and all that kind of stuff and create structure. So realizing, no, 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 you just need to bask in the glow of what you just experienced and allow those feelings to come up. So I'm glad that you support your clients in that way. That is definitely, it's in your purpose because of what you experienced. You're going to help a lot of people not go through what you went through. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, and that is really my goal, because I was in a corporate career, and here in the Netherlands we have a great social security system. So when you get sick and you lose your job, you have some support. But for entrepreneurs that is not true. They have to support themselves. And I really feel like now I'm an entrepreneur myself, I need to take care of myself first, because no one else will take care of me when something happens to me. And I that's really my goal, to make people aware of the risks when you don't take care of yourself well enough and you put your business and your clients always before yourself, because that is really a liability. And that is, I think that's also the reason why I am so adamant that people get support in their business, that they hire support when they're ready to do so, because it can take, it can make or break you. It's so good to have someone in your business that can support you, that can, do tasks for you, or even when you have like an off day, someone who can just do a couple of things for you so that you can feel supported, and it feels like like you're nourishing yourself with that support. And I know it's not easy for a lot of women to ask for support, but it's super, super important. And even just because we were talking about like all these women that quit their jobs now because of the lockdowns and homeschooling, I know that there are amazing people out there who are now looking for a job they can do from home, and they can help you. There are so many women that have experience and skills and talents, exactly what you need right now in your business. Maybe they have been a marketing manager for a great company, and now they can't do it anymore, but they love it, but they can't do it anymore, but they can do it for an online entrepreneur. So if you're ready to to look into that new phase of getting support, then I would really encourage people to do so. And if you and I think it's also an interesting new way of looking at your business, that you don't have to do it all yourself.
Yes, it is. It is. I think that very often, especially for people who are business owners, they're so used to wearing all of the hats and they feel like, well,
Yes.
no one's going to do it as well as I can. But then you realize, like I've realized in my case too, where, okay, I'm going to delegate this off to someone, and oh my gosh, they thought of something I would never have thought of. They did it in record time. They did it flawlessly and way better than I could have. And so it's allowing other people to shine in their abilities, and then you can actually shine in yours. Like for me, this is the kind of stuff I love. I love putting out the ideas. I love connecting with people. That's why I named my podcast the Connect Podcast. It made a whole lot of sense. And I love bringing forth new ideas, but then, implementing them and implementing them well can be a challenge. So if I didn't have people who were taking up the task of piecing everything together, it would be really challenging. And I see myself getting a more cohesive team put together over the coming year as well, which I'm really excited about. And I know you've got two things. You've got a Facebook group called Here to Last, which I love that name.
Yeah,
It's
I'm so happy with the
beautiful.
name.
Because
Yeah.
that's what we want. We want to start a business and be here to last. We don't want, and we want our lives, we want to physically be here to last so
Also,
we can
yes.
enjoy the fruits of our labor. And you're going to have so many, and you have so many good things in that group. I'm just really getting enrolled into the vision of what you've got there. And then you also have, remind me of the dates that you have a free series. Is it a webinar series that you're
I
doing?
have a free course coming up.
Yeah.
It's called Successful Support, and it's about how to find a VA without wasting money and time. So it's for entrepreneurs who are ready to hire, or ready to ask for support, but they have no idea where to start. Like, where do I find a VA that can help me? What do I outsource? What do I delegate to them? What can they do for me? What should I pay them? Where do I find those people? You know, those kinds of questions are coming up often with people that I talk to. And I thought that, you know, let's create a course around that because this is such a common question. And the
Yeah.
course will run between February 22 and March 21st. And it's 4 weeks. And you can enroll now for free because I'm going to do a batch around. And I just hope to see a lot of people in there because I just think it's so important to have that support and have someone that is really a great match and aligned with you and your business, because you can hire anyone, but it's, you know, it's amazing if you have someone that is, you know, made for you and made for your business and can really bring your business forward.
Absolutely. And I imagine that will draw both people looking to hire VAs and other support staff, and also people who are VAs and other support staff, knowing that, oh, you know, I can really connect in with the right type of people who I want to work for. So that's
Yeah.
going to be really, I'm looking forward to it because I think it's just to give a framework for, okay, well, what are the pieces that I'm missing? Because we can think we know what we need, but until we're speaking to an expert who deals with all of the areas, we can easily miss things. So I'll make sure that I link in here to your website where they can do that. Is it Willemijn Moss? Tell me your website and the link.
Yeah, it's willemijnmaas.com. And then there's an announcement bar at the top of my website where people can enroll in the beta course. And, you know, for those who are worried that it's going to be huge amounts of work, it's not, because I know everyone is busy and super overwhelmed already. So it's going to be like short videos and, you know, clarity exercises and one Q&A call a week that is recorded. So, you know, don't fret if you don't have like space or like hours, extra hours to do it. It's just really a tangible, really practical course so that you can just, you know, take the steps to make an amazing hire.
Wonderful. I think it's amazing that you're doing that. And there's going to be so much value in that. So I'm grateful for that as well. And so I'll link that down here. And also, please go look at the Connect podcast so you can hear Willemijn's whole story and hear just that there is hope when you're going through times where you're not quite sure what the outcome is going to be. Sometimes it's like that. Like I had a quote up recently saying, you know, those times in the messy middle, don't fret. Like, though, that is where the growth is. So
Yeah.
kind of lavish yourself there and really take note of what you're experiencing, because that is going to carry you through to the life you really want. We often don't know what we want in our future or what we'd be great at until we've gone through some struggle, and we're
Yeah.
shown, we're required to rise up above it. Then we know
Yeah. And
really what we're made
the
of.
struggle or the, like the dark times show you something super important. And it shows you what you don't want, which is
Yes.
actually the doorway to what you do want. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really okay to, you know, to have a bad time in your life, or to you go through loss, or you know, have some experience that have a profound influence on you, because, and it's not fun. It's, you know, it's never fun. It's just awful sometimes, but you will find yourself thinking about, okay, this is not where I want to be. So where do I want to be? And it, you know, it can be like a little super tiny step from where you are right then and there, but it gives you clarity about what you really want and what is super important to you, and that it will help you rebuild your life. And definitely what you just said, you will rebuild your life. Even if you lost everything that you thought you had, you will rebuild it in a different way, in a better way, in a way that's more you. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
don't ever think it's not possible.
So good. I think about what launched me into the self-care and wellness space, like certainly I was looking for a business at first, but then what got me into actual self-care and really focusing on helping ambitious women connect to themselves so that they could give themselves the permission to rest, to give themselves the care that they needed. What propelled me into that was my sister dying from cancer within like a 6-month diagnosis period. That is what really did it for me. Was that a dark time? Yeah. And it took a couple of years for me to really wrap my mind around, well, what do I do here? And it was in those final conversations with her that those seeds were planted, though, of, okay, we don't want this for anybody. We want, and who are the people who are often holding all of the responsibility in many cases? I mean, certainly we have many, many enlightened couples where both parties are sharing the load, but in historical times, and really even now, we see a lot of women who are trying to do everything and expected to do everything and to do it well and show up looking amazing and to have energy all the time and spin all the plates. We need to help them to let go and to do less, to say no. So I am so grateful for the work you're doing and for the way you're modeling it and how you're showing what's possible because you've experienced it. You show us what we can do with our future. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for adjusting your time to be able to, well, I guess I adjusted the time,
Yeah,
but
I
it worked
think
out
so.
even better. I'm like, yay, it's afternoon. I'm much more energetic at this hour. I'm actually, let's face it, I can be energetic at pretty much any time because I feed off of the energy of the other person. But I'm really grateful we could do this. And I'll make sure to link everything. And so everyone go listen to the podcast and go and get yourself registered for this Here to Last Facebook group. If you are looking to pivot your business and you need the support, or you don't even know what support you need, you're going to find it there. You're going to find the keys and register at Willemijn's website for that event to find out what is the framework. She'll let you know. So thanks so much.
Looking
Hello
forward
to
to
the
seeing you there.
girls. Yes.
Thanks so much for having me. It was great. And it's always great to connect with you. So thanks so
You
much.
as well. Awesome. Have a lovely evening.
You too. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye, everyone.